Hey guys, William Murphy here, and in today's episode we're going to be rebuilding the upper suspension arm.
I know you don't love me like you say you do.
So I've got my new suspension arm kit, I've got some new grease nipples, and that's pretty much all we're going to need for this build. The arm has been shot blasted and painted as well. We're also going to change the knuckle joint on the top. So we're going to get the old cap out, I'm going to replace the grease nipple, and I'm going to get the shaft out and the bearings out either side as well. So let's get cracking on. So the first thing I want to do is remove the shaft, which is pretty rusted in there. And then to get the bearings out, I'll use a slide hammer. So basically this tool here, as you wind it in, the top part of it spreads, clamps onto the bearing, and as you use the slide hammer's action, it pulls it out. You can see that. That's the old bearing out. Now try and tackle the other side. The other side out. Next thing you want to do is to make sure you push out any of the old dirt and grease. So I'll just put a piece of rag inside and poke it all the way through. You can see all the grot that comes with it. While we're here, we'll open up the valves to go 10mm spanner. Just removing or basically unscrewing this. There's a 45-degree angle grease nipple. I don't know if you can see. Inside here is where the grease goes through, and that should be going straight through, so you can poke it in. So now when we grease it, the grease will go straight through onto that shaft. And that is what was clogging the grease nipple. So let's get the new nipple in there, push new bearings in, and then we are done. So the new bearing kit consists of a shaft, bearing for each end. A thin washer and a fat washer, and they'll become quite apparent when you mount it to the subframe. 2 nuts, 2 spring washers, 2 oil seals, and a retaining cap. Frustratingly, these kits don't come with the bolts that hold this cap onto the subframe, so you have to reuse the old ones or try and get new ones. I ordered new ones and they only sent me 2, so which was pretty frustrating. So the 2 have been fitted to the other side, and I'm going to fit the old ones to this side, providing they go tight, and I can always change that before I put the radiator in, so it's not the end of the world. So let's put these new bearings in. They are flat on one end and they're tapered on the other, so let's put the tapered side facing in, lay it in there flat, and then let's give it a little bit of tap. And if you notice, as I'm tapping it, I'm trying to go round in a circular motion, and then sometimes back and forth and side to side to try and make sure that's nice evenly mounted into the housing. If you hit it on one end, it will go in wonky, and then the chances are the actual outer race of the bearing will bend and then not work. The other thing you want to do is make sure you don't whack it with a hammer, don't take big motions, just literally wrist action, and you get it sorted. Great handy tip is taking your old bearing, once you've got this flat or lined, placing it on top and just giving it a little tap. Best to hold that in place. Now what that does is it just sort of pushes that bearing a little bit further. You want the bearing to be flush with the top really. If anything, maybe it's slightly indented so the grease can get all around there. And then once it's in, the note will change slightly to give you more of a solid sounding. Give it a couple more taps to make sure it's fully located. There we go. So you can probably see ever so slightly just below the top. So what's going to happen is I'm going to put a washer on top of that, and then the oil seal around the outside, so the grease will then get supplied all around there. Next side. Great way to do it as well is just to check every now and again to make sure it is good and central. If it's not, this one here is going a little bit leaning towards the front, I can then tap at the back to straighten that up. The beginning part of it is okay, but if it goes further down halfway or more and it's wonky, you've got a bit of an issue. Perfect. So, how this works then, as it bolts up to the subframe. On the back you have a nut hole, so you put your shaft in. All you'll be able to put on the back is your nut and washer. So this goes the smaller of the two washers. And if you look inside, see that little ring inside? That goes onto the thing. So the grease can then go circulate around. Then we put the oil cap over the top of this, or the dust seal. Make sure that's nice and secure. Put my washer and the nut on it. It's only going to be finger tight, but just to make sure that that doesn't slide through again. And then we get to the other side. This side, the washer is significantly fatter because that goes into the hole on the front of your subframe. And again, the washer or the oil seal, the dust seal, goes on, and then the plate goes on. A spring washer and the nut to retain that shaft in place. And then on the ends, you've got one bolt has a captive nut on it, and the other one is a nut and bolt, so that goes through on this end. And I'll show you on the subframe exactly how these are fitted. Before we do those, just want to make sure that the grease nipple gets refitted. The next job is to get the old cap off of the knuckle joint. So I found quite an ingenious way of doing this is to using a pair of mole grips, pinching it down pretty tight, and then twisting. So once you get a good grip on that, you don't rip off the lip. Show you like this. You literally grab it, twist it inside itself, and part of it comes out. So you keep doing this until the whole thing comes out. So the next bit you want to grab on is the bit that's flapping. We have it. So you want to make sure the hole in the bottom is clear. There's a pinhole at the back of your arm, and then make sure it's all smooth inside as well, and you can fit your new knuckle joint. So I've just used my pin. Hopefully you can see that's now free. So, new knuckle joint in place, and we're ready to fit this to the subframe. So with the knuckle joint itself, I like to just put it in, push it on by hand as far as possible, and give it a little tap. Cup gets located, and then we have a rebuilt upper suspension arm. Cool. Okay, so now I've got my subframe here. You can see if I take this plate, the shaft will come through this hole, and this is also the hole where the larger washer sits, and then the plate goes across There's a hole here with the captive nut, and there's a hole here where your nut and bolt it through, and that's that. And when it's finished, it looks like this. So to try and save some time, I'm going to do this as a time lapse of fitting this suspension arm to the car. Torque settings for the upper arm 60 Nm either side, and that's all you really need to know. A compression tool needs to be used for the upper suspension arm. A compression tool needs to be used for the cone to make sure that's compressed up nicely before fitting that trumpet and the arm in place. But other than that, it's a pretty straightforward job. 10 minutes to do the bearings itself, and then you're done. It took quite a bit longer than expected, but the arm is in. It's torqued up, it's working well. I need to put the upper and lower bump stops in, and then this job is done. So I'm just going to now clean up a few of the parts, ready for the next video, which is going to be fitting the subframe back to the car. So that's it from me for today for this episode. I'm going to continue now cleaning some of the parts up, ready for this subframe to be fitted back to the car. As always, if you have enjoyed this content, please hit that thumbs up button, comment down below, and if you can, subscribe to the channel and ring that bell so you don't miss out on any future content. We're getting there. Cheers guys.